Hey guys, thank you for joining me on Their Fight Story. I have Odé Osbourne with us.
How you guys doing? First off, I don't know if we have enough film to tell for me to tell everybody what I'm doing right now, because
We'll
I
make
feel
it
like
happen.
it's like a scroll. I got to roll out I got to roll the scroll out. But my plate is so full, but I love having a full plate. You know what I mean? I really do. I like being active.
Are you doing remote learning with your students?
Yeah. See, at first it started off as remote learning where, our teacher and myself would do lessons online and they would do it. Now and then it became like they just wouldn't do it as much anymore, and then it just kind of it just became my teacher sending them lessons to do, and she gives them until Friday, and so they have until Friday to complete, which is much easier actually. She gives them until Friday to complete it, and my job typically got a million times easier. I'm communicating to parents, telling them, giving them updates, telling them what's happening, what we're gonna do, when stuff is due, just stuff like that. So I went from teaching math to being the parent communicator. So yeah, my job got 20 times easier, which is good and bad. Bad at first because, like I said, I need to do. My personality is I have to do a lot because I feel like it gives me purpose. You know what I'm saying? It gives me purpose in my life. I feel like I'm put on this earth to inspire and do a lot of positive change within my community. And when I'm not doing change, I feel like I'm not accomplishing anything. So for a while there, I was just like, man, okay, I need to start doing some stuff. So I started doing like forex and trading and getting into stocks, and so everybody else. But then everything else happened, and you know what I mean. My plate just was like. They they witness a lot of the stuff that goes on. You know what I'm saying? Police brutality is only new to a lot of white people who have been turned a blind eye to it. Even my inner city kids that come to school, they witness the stuff that goes on in their own neighborhood. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They see the stuff. They're traumatized by it. And it's I don't blame them for being traumatized by it. I said that they're taught that police are bad. And they're not taught that police are bad by their parents or their friends. They're taught police are bad because of stuff that they see all the time. Like a police comes and takes a kid, takes their parent, or takes their parent or their friend or whatever to jail. They don't a lot of times the police don't explain why it is that they just beat up whoever they beat up in front of that kid. They don't come back and explain that stuff. So they get what they see, and then they get their parents' perspective. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So then it leaves a long-term effect on that kid. So yeah, they're taught whenever stuff happens in the community, like they don't call the police, or they have to, only if they have to. That's the thing, which is bad. This is bad because police are supposed to protect and serve, and a lot of them do protect and serve. I can't say that all police are bad and that we don't need police, because we do. We definitely need police. Let's be realistic here. A society without police would be difficult. You know what I mean? It definitely would be difficult. But I think they use a lot of overforcing and over brutality a lot, and a lot of them go on these power trips, and it needs to stop. It's point blank, period, comma, exclamation mark, all that.
So, how many protests have you been to?
Man, I don't even know. I will say probably every other day. I try to go every day if I can, but with my training schedule and with everything else that's going on, I know I have a voice, and I know I have a platform, and I feel like if I'm not using my platform to be out in the protests, to be out in the streets, and to advocate for my people, I'm doing them a disservice, you know, and I can't do that. As I cannot sit back. Like when I've explained this before, watching, you know, the death of George Floyd, for me, and I know my brothers, my black brothers and sisters felt the same pain I felt. And my coach and I had this, we talked about this earlier, and I never believed this before, but I believe it now. People have said that there's such a thing as like ancestral DNA, that if you know, my coach was talking about, you know, he's explained to me that he's heard that if you go through trauma so severe that it ingrains into your DNA, you know, it truly ingrains into your DNA. And there's been studies done. And I don't know if I fully believed it until the death of George Floyd. Watching that video brought like tears to my eyes and put me to my knees. And I said it before, like I felt like I was on the slave ship in 1619, just getting lacerated and whipped over and over and over again. And there wasn't a damn thing I could do about it, but just sit back and cry, you know. And I know that if I felt like that, the rest of my black community, the rest of them felt the same way. I know for a fact. And that's why, you know, the rioting started, because it was just, it wasn't pain that was from yesterday or a year ago or even a decade or, you know, centuries. And it's like when you fill up a cup so much, it just overflows. You know what I'm saying? It overflows. And that's what happened, man. It just overflowed. And that was just.
You experiencing that, you know, in your protest, how is that affecting your training? Because I know training requires you to have a certain mental, I guess, meant to be mentally prepared to train, you know? So how is that affecting your concentration?
It actually gave me a lot of drive. You know what I mean? It gave me a little more drive because, to be honest with you, there were times where I was in my gym and I was training and I was tired, man. I was tired. You know what I mean? And I said, you know what? George Floyd couldn't breathe, and he, you know what I mean? He really couldn't breathe. So I can breathe fully through this. And I thought about him, and I thought about the pain that he witnessed, and it made me, you know, I don't know. It just gave me a lot of hope for, I shouldn't say hope, a lot of drive, I should say. It gave me a lot of drive because it just fueled me, you know what I'm saying? It fueled me because it gave me something to fight for, and it made me have no excuses to complain about anything that I was feeling that day or the days that came after that. You know what I mean? I was like, you know what? I can't have any excuse for not pushing myself as hard as I can right now, you know? 2 weeks. I feel like I'm doing all the talking. Go ahead. Go ahead. Say something.
No, it's their fight story. It's about you. It's not about me. It's all about you. No.
No, I was so angry, you know, because here we are, and we're going through all this suffering and all this pain, and I just felt like the nerve of people being so insensitive and shedding lights to people who are looting and damaging properties. And that made me so furious. Like, are you out of your mind talking about looting and property damages? You're gonna equate that to our lives right now? Yes. Like, you gonna change this? You gonna direct shift from what this truly is about, which is police brutality? Like, are you? Ooh, that made me so mad that people were just, and that's all, you know. Certain people were just, all they would share was just, oh man, all these images of black people looting. And for me, what it looked like, I saw an article, what it looked like, it was like, well, this is what I think I pictured in my head was, well, since black people are looting and damaging stuff, we can't support them anymore. Like, and I said it before, like, if that's the case, then you weren't really for the cause, were you? No, you weren't. So I don't really care. And I was just going, anybody that stepped to me I was ready to go at them, and I went at them for like 2 whole weeks, and I was taking my frustration out on everybody. I don't even care. I was angry, and I had every right to be angry.
Yes.
That's the thing that people don't understand. They're, instead of being like, well, you know, it's sad to see all this is happening, and black people have every right to be tearing stuff up. They have every right because they're angry. But instead, they were like, oh, man, look at these black people tearing stuff up, like, and looting and doing all this burning and stuff. Like, honestly, I went through. There was a point. Like, now I'm completely at peace, and I want us to, I want us to do this the right way, and I want us to achieve all that we can achieve the right way. No violence, no damaging, none of that stuff. But I'm not gonna lie to you. There was a time where I was like, burn all that shit down. I don't even care. Everything, excuse my French. I was like, burn it all down. Everything can go, because we were tired of that, man. We're tired of it. We're tired of it for years and years and years and years and years. Like, the same stuff has been happening for years and years and years. And what it looked like for us is constantly saying, like, stop hurting us. Can you help us? Can you help us? Please help us. Please help us. Until it became like, because nobody was listening, nobody was helping us. So they were just like, well, like, what are you guys going through? Really? What y'all going through? Y'all ain't going through anything. Slavery was such a long time ago. Y'all ain't going through nothing, And it's for me, it's like telling a woman that's had a miscarriage, like, every date that it comes around, oh, well, that miscarriage was a long time ago. Why you feeling pain still? Why are you feeling pain still? That miscarriage was a long time ago. Every day it comes around. And that's what it was like for us. That's what it's like. That's extremely what it's like. And when Colin Kaepernick said that black people have been oppressed, and then people like Tommy Lauren and other white people were like, no, y'all haven't. I'm like, what? Because you've been black for how long? And you telling me what I know to be true? Yes. Like, I do not remember going over in class and elementary, middle, high school, even college, ever being taught about Black history. Never. I never, it taught us about the Holocaust, the natives, all kinds of stuff, but never were we educated about Black history. And that's because, like I said, the system is not broken. I'll say it over and over again. The system is not broken. It is a well-oiled machine meant to oppress us. And people who continue to say, no, it isn't, they are the problem, because what they're constantly ignoring. They're constantly ignoring instead of sympathizing, instead of understanding the pain that we go through. They constantly ignore and say, no, that doesn't happen. No. And meanwhile, while they're ignoring the elephant in the room, the elephant is taking a giant dump on the furniture and all over the floor. And, I heard that from one of my good friends, Cherie. She said that, and it is stuck. Mm-hmm. It's stuck. And so, yeah, this movement, I think, has caused so much of a ripple effect, so much of a ripple effect that it affected even white people. And a lot of white people who before side with Tommy Lauren now are on board with us and are like, oh my gosh, like, I completely are seeing this now. Like, I've been living under a rock, like, oh, and you know what I mean? It's like, and for me, I'm like, what took y'all so long? Like, we've been screaming for help for the longest time, not just about police brutality, but for about, discrimination and all that stuff. Like, every time we go to get, I don't experience it as much as much as a lot of my Black brothers and sisters who probably are profiled, because they see me and they talk to me and they're like, oh, he speaks proper English, all right, he's one of the good ones. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's some, you know what I'm saying? That's some ignorant stuff that I face all the time. You know what I mean? I get pulled over for, and asked like, is my car my car? And I explain to them that it is, and they're like, oh, you can tell. I could tell there because their posture gets like this to more relaxed. They hear me speak, and they're like, oh, okay, he's good. He's good. But a lot of my other brothers and sisters, I say my brothers and sisters because I think we're all brothers and sisters, have experienced so much discrimination, and it's not even funny. And I've experienced it so much that not as much, but still a lot. But it comes to a halt because I carry myself differently. You know what I mean? Because how my mom raised me, it's different. You know what I'm saying? And these people in the Black community had a completely different upbringing. Luckily for me, when I got to the age of 12, I had a different upbringing. You know what I'm saying? My mom was able to, move out into a better place, and I stopped experiencing a lot of the stuff that I experienced. But unfortunately for everybody else, they experienced that stuff throughout their whole life, and it's traumatizing. It's traumatizing. And think about this: if I stopped experiencing it when I was 12, and I still get anxiety when police officers walk by me, how do you think people feel that experience that stuff their whole life? Like, I get mild anxiety. How do you think they feel when they experience it their whole life? And what's terrible is that people just keep saying, that we're playing the victim. Like, why don't y'all get a job is what I hear. Why don't you, that was slavery was a long time ago. And, stuff like that, man. It's just, it's a lot, but I do see what I've been seeing a lot though, from a lot of white people. I've heard this expression be thrown around. I've heard this expression, and I see it now. I understand the expression, but white guilt is a real thing. It's a real thing, and my wrestling coach Ben Holmes explained it in he used such a great analogy of white guilt, because what's happening, what I've seen online is a lot of white people are attacking other white people because they want to appease to us and be like, look, I'm on your side. You know what I'm saying? I'm on your side. So they're attacking other white people because they feel guilty because they've been on Tammy Lauren's side, and they feel guilty about what we have gone through because of the side they've been on, and now they see and feel and hear us. So now that guilt is coming to the forefront. But my wrestling coach has explained it in a way of this. It's like watching Breaking Bad in the middle of Breaking Bad, and they're like, you know what I mean? They're trying to catch up. You know what I'm saying? Like they're trying to catch up. Like you can't catch up when you didn't go through when Walter White was a teacher. You didn't even know about him. Now you want to come in the middle of the season when he was already making the meth, like for real, and you so that was that's like how he explained it. And I was like, it makes a lot of sense. But yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. I try to be in the community as much as possible to really help the people marching, because and protesting, and I try to give them hope. I try to, preach to them because fortunately I'm somebody that made it out and made it into the UFC and made something of myself. But for a lot of people, it's hard. It's hard. It's tough. It's tough when the system's against you. It's tough. And I keep saying the system, the system being against people because the system is. It is. It's like when I graduated and after college, I tried getting a job, and I had no experience because nobody has ever taught me about credit score. No one's ever taught me about, how the system operated. No one, because of the family line that we're set up in. You know what I'm saying? If anyone who has two working hands can Google and see how the Black community became the Black community, and that we were placed there. You know what I'm saying? We were put there. Like, we were set up for to fail from the jump. And when you say, no, that's not true, you're part of the problem, because you obviously are not even going to take the time to do your research and find out, but you're just going to say, no, it's not true. It's 100% true. 100%. You can look it up. It's all there. It's all there. And that's the thing. Like, all these aren't opinions. These are all factual evidence. You know what I'm saying? These are all facts. So, and until these people Google why dads aren't around, why the Black community has been oppressed, and why other things happen, until they go online and do research, then don't come talk to me about any of that stuff. Don't come talk to me about don't disagree with me on anything. That's my thing. Don't disagree with me on anything until you go do your research. And if you go and do your research and then you want to maybe have a conversation about what you researched, then maybe we could talk. Maybe we could talk. But that's like me being a tampon salesman, right? And I'm like, you gotta try this tampon. I'm telling you, it's so awesome. And they're like, have you used the tampon? And I'm like, yeah. Oh wait, no, I haven't used it, but I know it works really well. Even though I haven't used it, I know it works really well. You know what I mean? That's just real. It's the same. It's the same stuff. Like, these people are telling me what it's like being Black when they've never been Black before, and that's the most frustrating thing for Black people, is when white people tell us how we're supposed to feel, and you know what I mean, are so expert. The same thing about.
I was going to ask you that you had mentioned before that you were going to use this like to feel that you have a reason to fight and that this is going to help you fight. What was your reason to fight before?
It still is my reason to fight before, but the kids in my school, because the kids need to see me achieve greatness, because I know their struggles. When I look at each and every one of them kids, I see myself in each and every single one of them. Each and every single one of them I see myself in. I've been to 13 different schools. I wasn't the best at math or reading until I got to, I'm gonna be honest, like high school, because, we got evicted more times than I could count. I'm not, my mom would be like, if my mom watching this, she's like, why are you telling people that? Because Jamaicans are real prideful. You know what I'm saying? That's it. We're real prideful. Why are you telling people? That's my mom. But it wasn't her fault. It really wasn't. My mom did the best that she could and how she knew how to. And she was against the wall. She is an amazing woman that kept driving, just kept, every time something happened, she would just push. That's why I say Black people are resilient, because it never broke us. You know what I mean? I'm used to failing. That's why I think I can achieve, and I will achieve so much, because every time I meet failure, I'm like, that, what? You know, show me something I've never seen before?
Is it failure or a lesson?
Lesson. There it is. Lesson. But every time I experience it, I'm like, okay, you know what I mean? That's cool. If you ever noticed from every single one of my fights, 9-3, I don't even know. If you watch every single time I've lost, I've won like just tenfolds after, because every time I've failed or experienced a lesson, I go and analyze that lesson. Yeah. My mom always said, my mom shared this with me. She said, life is the only school. Let me think about how she said it. Life is the only school that you get the lesson first, and then how did she say it? Come on, I wish you'd call me right now. But yeah, life is. I think it's some long lines of, life is the only school that you experienced the lesson after you
take the test.
I'm sorry?
After you take the test?
Yes, there it is. But see, you know her. You know her.
I didn't want to say
that's
anything.
What it is. That's the
but
yes. So yes, exactly. That's exactly what it is. Life's the only school that you get the lesson first and then the test. Or no, I'm sorry. You get the test first and then the lesson. There we go. Life's the only. It took me like 5 times to say it, but I've got it now. Life is the only school that you get. Stop laughing, all right? It's not. Why are you laughing at me? Yeah, she said life's the only school that you experience the lesson first and then the test. No, the test first. I'm done. We you know what? My mom's quote. I just sabotaged it. She'd be so disappointed in me. She'd be like, "That's not what she's watching."
Because you haven't given up. She'll be proud because you never gave up. You didn't see. So now you have to finish it. Correct.
Oh, I will. You know what I mean? I completely will. So back to what I was saying. The kids in my school, they need to see that. They need to see someone that has that drive and that can, you know what I mean, who came from Jamaica, which, if you know anything about Jamaica, 80% of Jamaica, that's a random number, 80% of Jamaica is in poverty and poor. So they need to see somebody who came from what a lot of those kids are in and are coming from, and then move to the States and experience the same stuff. You know what I mean? Same poverty, same poorness. Only thing different is there's not a lot of racism in Jamaica. You just face poorness and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's the reason I still am fighting for them. I still am. They are the future. I'll never stop fighting for them. You know what I mean? Yeah. Never, ever, ever. I just added to my cause that I'm fighting for. That's all.
I'm sure they're very proud of you.
Yeah,
they have an example that they can look up to, and they can see that even with every struggle that happens in life, you can still make it, and you never, as long as you don't give up, you're winning. And you can take a break and you can recharge, just don't quit. So that's a great thing that you're teaching them.
Yep, never. And I tell them, like, whenever there's a challenge that they face and I do see them like give up and quit, I try to get to them like, look, like, you see me do this, like, you know what I've done, and if I had quit, then I would never, ever, ever have gotten to where I am right now. Never.
Yeah. So how does that affect you as far as, you're training, you're working, and you have to, like, financially, how does that affect you so people understand?
Well, once again, I've always been a believer. Like I said, I've always been heavy into God. Everybody who knows me knows, always been a believer, always been heavy into God. And God has put my wrestling coach, Ben Tomes, in my life for a reason. And I was lucky enough that, after when I got to Wisconsin, I met him in Florida when I was 14. He was my wrestling coach there. And then he moved back to Wisconsin when I was a junior in high school. Got a job. He got a coaching job at Carroll and asked me if I wanted to come wrestle for him. And I was like, yeah, for sure. No doubt. He was amazing. You know what I mean? He understood us. He, like, really, 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 truly understood us. And, he gave me a place to stay and free of charge, food, comfort, like a father figure, all that stuff. And when the Carroll dropped the wrestling program, that's when they dropped the program. When they dropped the program, we got into MMA, and my wrestling coach gave me like I said, it was either I moved back to Florida or I tried to pursue MMA. And my wrestling coach, once again, gave me a place to stay, gave me food to eat, gave me love, gave me comfort, all that stuff. Till now, let me show you this. Y'all don't see. Look, there he is right there. He's right. Say hi, Ben. Look, till now, I'm still with him. He's still my coach in the UFC today, till this very day. dudes have my back. Dudes been behind me, and you know what I'm saying. And that's the reason why I'll never give up. I can't give up on all white people, because, you know, like I said, like Ben's done so much for me, and he showed me like a different side, and I really appreciated that. Like, you know, I would never be in the UFC today without him, and him have not given me, you know what I'm saying, a place. If he hadn't given me like all he's given me a place to stay, food, all that stuff. He always makes a joke, you know, it's put on the tab. Put on the tab. If he hadn't done that, I wouldn't be in the UFC. The system would have swallowed me, for real. Like, the system would have swallowed me. Like, and, you know, my mom, I'm sure, would have been able to help me. And, you know, she's much better now. She has her own businesses. She's doing amazing. She's thriving, and you can see where I get her from, clearly. Mm-hmm. But I would not be the person I am and where I am today if it wasn't for him, and you know, being able to pay stuff, and, you know, I couldn't afford rent. I couldn't afford groceries. I couldn't afford oxygen.
You can put it on the tab.
Put it on the tab, yeah. She got tons of stuff she does. She has like 3 degrees. She makes me mad though, because she's like the smartest person I know, for real. And I have to try sometimes so hard to learn stuff, like when I was in college, and I still, you know, it took me a while to even learn a lot of things. And she went back to school. I want to say she got back. When did she go back to school? I want to say she went back to school when she was like 43 or 44. I think she's 47 or 48 now. She went back to school when she was 43 and 44, and she just was like, boom, just mm-hmm. She, like, it didn't even faze her. Like, she didn't even faze her. It's like she took no time off, and she got 3 degrees, and is easily one of the smartest people I know. I wish that I could pick stuff up as easy as she does. You know what I mean? She picks stuff up so quick. And she graduated like number 2 in her class back in Jamaica. She was so smart. Sorry, not was, is. Mm-hmm. Brilliant.
That's awesome. That is awesome to hear.
She has her doctorate. She has a couple businesses. One that she's doing in Jamaica. She has a restaurant in Jamaica, a restaurant bar. She has a couple other stuff that she does. I don't even know. She does a lot of stuff.
So your mom went back to Jamaica?
Just for she goes back and forth all the time. Okay. She's there right now for COVID. She resides in Florida. Okay. Yeah, she lives in Florida still, but she hasn't been back since COVID. I think she's having too much fun right now.
Well, I mean, do you really want to be quarantined here or in Jamaica?
Yeah, Jamaica doesn't have a lot of. I think they don't have a lot of cases, so she's doing her businesses and stuff, and she with like her friends and family, and she's loving it. You know.
How do you think that would have affected if she was here during the whole situation with George Floyd?
Affected who, me or her?
Your mom, because she was over there when it happened.
Oh, my mom felt the same thing I feel. It doesn't matter where you are. It don't matter where you are. That's why all these countries are coming. You know, Black America is not just Black America. It's Black everywhere. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? So Black people everywhere is feeling the same pain. Everywhere. So she felt the same pain, no matter no matter if she was here or there. Yeah, she's experiencing the same stuff. I'm experiencing the same stuff. Everybody of my demographic is experiencing the same stuff.
And what do you plan to do as far as your next fight? Do you have a fight coming up? Can you say? Can you not say? Because I know sometimes.
I cannot say. I'm making an announcement that's gonna change the course of things. Let's just say that for the better. It's gonna change the course of things for the better. For fighting, it's gonna be. Let's just say it's gonna be. I'm just gonna say it's gonna be a weight class jump, up or down. Who knows?
Surprise!
Surprise! But yeah, It's gonna be awesome, man. I'm gonna terrorize people. Let's just say that. And I just have to remember to do it for the right reasons.
As far as, okay, your fight career, and what do you plan to do after your fight career? Do you plan to be like your coach, coaching others, bringing them up? Do you have an idea?
As far as coaching goes, I'll be honest. I really don't want to coach. I don't want to coach. Not to say that I don't like coaching. My very first coach was also like a father figure to me. After my wrestling coach introduced me to him after Carol. So after Carol, my wrestling coach brought me to this guy. His name is Reese Shaner, and he had an MMA gym, and he believed in me. Didn't charge me a thing as well. He saw potential in me. He said, "One day you about to be great, man. You're gonna be great one day." And he was an amazing father figure to me, and I think he pretty much let a lot of people train at his gym for free, and he just had a big heart, but it had an effect on his gym, obviously, with finances and stuff. He had a huge heart, and the gym pretty much, it was such an amazing environment, an amazing gym, but I never ever lost under a fight under him. He believed in me, and him and Ben were a great team together, and they both believed in me. And undefeated as an amateur, undefeated as a pro. After his death, he died in a motorcycle accident. Yeah. He, like I said, he had a lot to do with teaching me how to be a man. I still try to remember his legacy and what he wants from me, but it definitely, I still feel that pain. So I don't want to be a coach, man. It's still, I would love to help out, you know what I mean? Like, I know my wrestling coach wants to do a lot of this stuff, and I'm willing to speak at seminars. I'm willing to go in on the businesses with him on if he wants to coach. Yeah, I'll co-sign verbally, personally, however he needs me to do my thing, I will do it. But I'm gonna hand it off to him. He can do it all. And that department, I think for me, I want to do a lot for the community and continue to do a lot for the community. As my pastor says, I want to be a disciple and make more of me. That's my goal, is make more of me, if that makes any sense. So I thrive to be an activist, and I want to make more people of do the same things for their community as well. So if I could, open up whatever I need to open up to do that, whether it's, centers for like YMCA for kids, and do and speak and do functions or whatever it is I need to do, I'll do it. Being a motivational speaker, being a motivational to them, inspire them, I'll do it. I'll even do it. I'll do a lot of stuff for free. I don't care. I just want to help my people, and that's the biggest thing, man. Just help my people as much as possible.
Thank you. Do you have any final thoughts that you want to share?
Something I've always said was just, don't let anybody ever, ever, ever tell you how you should feel as a young person, or don't let anybody try to keep you down. Something, as a kid, I felt that drive, that spark when I was in Jamaica and I was 7 years old. I felt it. I felt that thing that I can't explain to this day that I keep feeling. And I know a lot of these young people feel that. Hold on to that feeling. That feeling is what is going to make you great. Hold on to that feeling. Because when I felt it as a kid, I was, I always wanted to be a hero. But the hero I always wanted to be was like, cartoonish. You know what I mean? Cartoonish. Now I want to be like a beacon of hope to the people and give them, faith, because I'm here to help the people, and I will continue to fight for the people. I don't look to benefit for any reason. I don't want to be a governor. I don't want to do, you know what I mean? None of that stuff. I just want to be able to help them and however much money I got to raise, however much time I got to spend out here, however whatever I got to do, whatever it is I got to do, I'm gonna do it until I can't do it, until my hands are sore, to my feet blisters, until my mouth is dry, until I'll be 100% just keep doing it for the cause. And I've always been like that. I just didn't know what I was fighting for, but I knew I was fighting for something. You know what I mean? I always knew I was fighting for something. Ever since I was a kid, man. Ever since I was a kid, I was fighting. I was always fighting for something. I never knew what it was. I never knew, but I knew the cause that I was fighting for was bigger than me. It was bigger than me. And it still is bigger than me. Sometimes I wonder, like, even now when I'm doing so much, am I doing enough? Like, what can I do to invoke change? What can I do to have more? I'm always asking myself, like, you know what I mean? Like, what do I need to do? Who do I need to talk to? Who, I'm hard, like I said, I feel so deep about it. Like I'm just like,
yeah,
it's a lot. It's I feel like I have the weight of the world on my shoulders, and I gotta keep the faith. I gotta remember, keep it in God and ask God to help me to help the people, because it takes a village to raise a child, but it takes a city to raise a village. It takes a nation to raise a city. You know what I mean? And that's, look, Odé Osbourne said that. Nobody else.